After a drama-filled weekend and a sweep, the Giants get back on the horse as they take on the Battle of 80 with the A's. That's all coming up on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. My name is Alan Stiles, talking about your San Francisco Giants Monday through Friday, and the Giants are getting back on the horse as they take on the A's. So we have all of that to break down. Some of the moves that have been made as far as the roster is concerned. Players, Adrian Houser moved to the bullpen. Some players have been DFA'd, like Jared Oliva. Remember when we spent so much time on Jared Oliva? And the Giants are doing something fairly unique in having the pitchers call their own game. So we have all of that for you today. Today's episode is brought to you by Odoo. Great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try free today at odoo.com/locked on. That's ODOO.com/locked on. So we had so much to talk about yesterday with the Devers situation, and honestly, where that thing ended, I'm not sure where the Giants go from here. Tony Vitello, I don't believe, has spoken or said much since the quotes that initially came out. Do I suspect that Rafi Devers won't play today? I think there's a chance. Honestly, I do think there's a chance. There's been a lot of blowback nationally. Somebody has to show that they're in charge here. And I do think that if I'm Buster Posey, I have a conversation with Tony Vitello and just say, hey, look, that stuff can't happen. We understand you're in a new situation, but you have our blessing to react to that however you see fit. Now, will that put Rafi Devers in a situation where he says, hey, I'm so sorry, guys, I never meant to do X, Y, and Z? I don't know that, but it doesn't really matter. It's just something I feel like Tony Vitello has to do to show that there is a level of respect and control in that clubhouse, in that locker room. But you know what? I've thought a couple different times Tony Vitello was going to harp on something that the vets did, and he didn't. You know, Matt Chapman at the time, I'm not going to sit here and say that I was against Matt Chapman saying catch the bleeping ball. I thought that was competitiveness. I thought that was, hey, you know, it was a different point in the season, you know, trying to get that thing back on the right track because they started out so poorly, even against the Yankees. Turns out that maybe that wasn't the best way to go about it. Then you have the Willy Adames stuff. And Matt Chapman, of course, wasn't, nothing came of that. There were no repercussions for Matt Chapman for when that happened. Willy Adames messing around with Mookie Betts on second base, not knowing the outs and getting thrown out, getting doubled up against the Dodgers. No repercussions there. Okay. And Tony Vitello even said, you know, something to the effect of, well, if I harp on something like that, you know, this guy is a vet and he's been around and this and that. So funny thing about that is I've given 3 examples. You know who those 3 examples were? The most highly paid players on the Giants, the vets. Every vet has done something that has been a bad look on the organization this season. All three of them. And none of them, unless Rafi Devers changes that tonight, none of them have faced any type of repercussions. Now, they're not all the same, right? Some are kind of mental mistakes, or, hey, you just don't do that, or, hey, you know, that's maybe not a good look, but all of them have been involved with something. I think Matt Chapman's probably the least egregious because, like I said, you could chalk it up to just being competitive. And he was showing up Casey Schmidt, but he didn't show up, the manager or the whole team. And honestly, Chapman probably just didn't expect that to get caught on a hot mic or whatever the case on the broadcast. Willy Adames, that to me was just, come on, dude. Like, we get it. You're the fun-loving guy, but you got to pay attention here. So I think they've kind of gotten progressively worse, you could argue, with the worst one so far being Devers shooing away Jonah Cox. But I know we talked about it a lot yesterday. I know some people wondering, well, what could we see from the Giants today as far as, any punishment, for lack of a better term? I don't know. I do think there's a chance we see something, because a lot of people have been saying this is a terrible look. And, you lose respect in that locker room, you lose respect in that clubhouse, and the rest just goes out the window. As far as the moves that have been made within the team and as far as the roster is concerned, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, but Adrian Houser has been moved to the bullpen. All right. So this is what Adrian Houser had to say. The disappointment that he expressed. I'm not going to be happy about it, but I understand. I signed here to be a starter. I didn't sign here to be in the bullpen. So I'm going to do everything I can to get back in the rotation. So obviously that would be a rough sell, and I don't imagine anybody is interested in Adrian Houser right now and his bloated ERA. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's definitely not going to happen when you have to move somebody to the bullpen. So over his 10 major league seasons, this is from MLB Trade Rumors, Houser has generally delivered okay numbers as a back end starter with a 4.20 ERA and a 50.3% ground ball rate over 799 and 2/3 innings in the show. Houser's ability to keep the ball on the ground has mitigated his lack of strikeouts, though this year his grounder rate has dropped to 40.5%. The increase in fly balls has been just one of the many issues on a troubling blue StatCast card for Houser, and his 5.73 ERA over 66 innings underlines his lack of results. Okay, so that's basically why they had to make this move. They do close it out saying, if Malley or Robbie Ray are dealt at the deadline, Houser could move back into one of the open slots in San Francisco's rotation. That's not necessary. That's not necessary. No, thank you. Houser's own trade value is next to nothing at this point, given both his lack of success and his remaining salary. $3 million left this year, $9.5 million in 2027, and a $4 million buyout plus and a $12.5 million club option for 2028. So this is so funny because it was a 2-year, $22 million deal. That's what happens when you try to save money, right? And I've probably told this story before, but I always joke about my dad, and I love my dad. He's hilarious to me because we had a car that he would ask, hey, Alan, or whenever it would need to be fixed, he had a buddy that would fix the car. Right now, the buddy would fix the car for a discount, but then we'd have to take it back to the buddy in 4 or 5 months. And at the time, I'm broke, college kid, whatever it is, so I have no room to talk. But I'm saying, Dad, I know it's not my money, but don't you think if we took it to an actual place, maybe we wouldn't have to keep taking it back to your buddy? You're going to end up spending more taking it to your buddy over and over again than you would if we just took it to an official place. Now, he didn't want to do that. It's the same thing, when it came to the aluminum bats, right? A lot of times, early on when I was starting to really get into baseball in a serious way, right? 13, 14 years old. Hey, we're just going to get you this $85 bat, right? And a lot of people will say, hey, well, it's the wand, not the wizard, but all bats are not created equal. Well, Dad, you bought me 2 or 3 of these cheaper bats. If you just bought me a more expensive one, you've spent the same amount of money. And that's essentially what the Giants have done. Hey, we're going to save money on Adrian Houser, but he's pitched so poorly, it doesn't even look, it's still a bad contract. Like, how does that happen? How does that happen? It was supposed to be a bargain contract, which is why they got Adrian Houser and Tyler Malley together. Hey, that's the same cost as one of these bigger names, and it's still not working because when you try to cut corners and try to save just a little bit of cash there, yes, sometimes it can work out for you, but a lot of times you end up getting burned. And that's exactly what has happened with the San Francisco Giants and their pitching rotation. So that move has been made. The other move, and we used to talk about this guy all the time, the Giants designate Jared Oliva for assignment. Now, he had been injured for a while. He got activated from the 60-day injured list, and then he was DFA'd. That was from Shayna Rubin. Oliva signed a minor league contract with San Francisco in February, then made the team's opening day roster after playing in 26 games with the Pirates in 2020, 2021. Oliva didn't appear again in the big leagues until his 7 games with the Giants this year, but his return to the show was cut short by a fracture in mid-April. But, at the end of the day, I don't know how much we should have expected from Jared Oliva. He was kind of a niche player where, hey, if we need a stolen base, we can do X, Y, and Z. And now that's just Jonah Cox, who's younger, coming from Double-A. So there's really no need for Jared Oliva. Thank you. This was early on. Hey, is it going to be Luis Matos? Is it going to be Jared Oliva? How about neither? How about neither of those guys working out for them and the Giants? So we'll see what happens there as far as Jared Oliva, clearing waivers, all that jazz. But I don't think we will be saying Jared Oliva's name too often in the near future here for the San Francisco Giants. On the other side, very unique thing that the Giants are doing, and it's been working in some parts for some pitchers. They are calling their own games. Yes, that's right. Let's break down what that means for the pitching coach, for the catchers, as the Giants try to turn things around. More Locked On Giants coming up. If you've got a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. This is that cotton candy taste you remember, but with the tasty caffeine boost and zero sugar. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. I've always loved cotton candy, but I can't be eating sweets all day. This is a perfect alternative. The flavor really does bring back that throwback fruity vanilla vibe, and it's surprisingly smooth. I like how convenient it is too. It's just a small portable shot I can grab whenever I need a little pick-me-up. It's become my go-to when I want something sweet without going overboard. Bring on the sweetness with Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shots, available online now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. ED is way more common than most guys think, and millions of men deal with it at some point. HIMS offers a simple, convenient way to take care of your health by connecting you with licensed healthcare providers online and giving you access to personalized treatment options from the comfort of your home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines, just a straightforward process designed to make getting care easier. Taking care of yourself shouldn't feel complicated, and HIMS makes the process private and easy to navigate. It's healthcare built around your schedule and your comfort. Between work, family, and everything else going on, finding time for appointments can be tough. Having access to licensed providers online means you can prioritize your health without having to rearrange your entire day. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/lockedonmlb. That's hims.com/lockedonmlb for your free online visit. hims.com/lockedonmlb. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Sildenafil is a generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark of Viatris Specialty LLC. HIMS is not affiliated with or endorsed by Viatris. Next segment with you. We are rolling right along, and I thought this was pretty fascinating. This is from Evan Wiebeck of the California Post. SF Giants pitchers have started calling their own games, and there is a trust factor involved. The run Logan Webb is on is like nothing seen by a Giants pitcher, at least since Madison Bumgarner or Matt Cain. Those are the last 2 San Francisco starters who string together 3 straight starts of 8 or more innings, and neither quite matched Webb's dominance as of late. 3 earned runs in his past 31 innings. Good for a .7 ERA. Man, the good days, right? Madison Bumgarner, Matt Cain. The explanation for Webb's ascension into another dimension, himself. In a way, the Giants ace began calling his own pitches, most of them anyway, in his second start back from the injured list, flirting with a perfect game in 7 one-hit innings in Milwaukee. Quote, "I didn't throw my best until then. I just came back and thought, I've done it before. I haven't thrown to these guys a lot. I mean, I was with Patrick Bailey for a long time. There's a trust factor in those sort of things. It worked out so well. Webbs has continued the practice, trusting himself over 2 new catchers to keep batters guessing as the Giants' new catching tandem, Daniel Susac and Eric Haas, tries to catch up the institutional knowledge that was sent packing when Bailey was traded. It's definitely a learning process for all of us. So we're encouraging our guys to maybe call their own games. That's from Justin Message, the pitching coach. You saw Robbie Ray do it a little bit in Atlanta. Roop did it a little bit as well. All right. So I think that is very fascinating. And it speaks to where the Giants were at and honestly how desperate maybe they were to move Patrick Bailey. I know they got that first rounder, but clearly there was going to be a learning curve that Buster thought would be okay. And as a catcher, I guess we're supposed to just trust Buster Posey in that moment. It's something Adrian Houser wishes he would have experimented with before he was demoted to the bullpen this weekend. He told the Post that it's been more difficult to get on the same page with the Giants catchers than any of the backstops he worked with last season. Quote, I don't think we're doing a very good job of pitch sequencing right now or setting up good pitches, Hauser said. We're kind of falling into holes, falling into traps that hitters are setting up versus pitching how I should be pitching and attacking guys how I should be attacking guys. Okay, let me just stop there because it feels like we might be headed towards a bit of a situation with Adrian Houser. He's basically saying, well, if I got to do that, maybe my ERA wouldn't be as bad if I was able to call my own games. He's kind of blaming the catchers. And look, I'm not the one to say whether he is correct or not, but what I will say is it just speaks to the same theme of accountability, of responsibility, and just maybe things that you shouldn't say or do. Now, I love it as somebody who's got a Giants podcast Monday through Friday. Thank you very much. But I don't know that I'd like that if I were, number one of the catchers, or number two, anybody else in that clubhouse. There just feels like there's so much access to the Giants. Anything you want to know about the Giants, they'll tell you. They are an open book right now, and I think some things need to be kept inside the clubhouse. I really do. So that's what Adrian Houser says. And now you have this quote from Justin Message, trading the catcher who spent all of spring training working with the pitching staff that expected to throw to him for the majority of the regular season has been, quote, a challenge. Message acknowledged. Okay, what did Tony Vitello had to say? Anytime you look at something that stands out, you want it to be the sole aha reason, but there are a lot of variables involved. For example, pitching differently with a large lead, but there's some truth to things too. So, you know, they're kind of discussing the different ERAs between when they had Bailey and when they didn't have Bailey. With the ERAs right here, with Bailey, the Giants staff posted a 3.63 ERA and 238 in a third innings. With his replacements, including Jesus Rodriguez, their ERA has been more than a full point higher at 4.91. Now, this has been going on for kind of a while here, right? This has been going on for a while since they traded Patrick Bailey, but they knew this was going to be part of it. They knew. You know, Tony Vitello added, I think at this point, it would only be an excuse if you said there was a lack of familiarity. Message, however, acknowledged the roadblock presented by replacing Bailey with a rookie and a backup who only plays sparingly and doesn't catch the same pitchers consistently. Quote, the youth, the inexperience just by itself is a lot, he said. I really think it's easier for the pitcher to call their own pitches when you're talking about a young catcher. Haas obviously has been here, so he kind of understands it, but he only catches once every 3 or 4 days. Okay. Once again, right, and obviously how this is written, maybe it's not as, I don't want to use the word contentious, but clearly there are different thoughts on moving on from Patrick Bailey. Tony Vitello's kind of doing what he's supposed to do. Hey, the boss wanted to make a move. We're not going to sit here and just bag on the move. We have to figure out a way to win. You know, that's just it. Trying to get on the same page. This is what Message said. The reality is Patty's not here anymore, and it's on us to do it. So there might be a little lag. It might take a little bit of time to have some kind of handle on the staff that Patty did, especially with just the respect that he had. I think the other thing we need to realize here is whether or not Daniel Susac or Jesus Rodriguez is going to be the catcher of the future. We know it's not going to be Eric Haas. At least I don't believe it's going to be Eric Haas. So it's almost as if, what are we working towards? Why am I building a relationship with you unless we think that this is going to go somewhere? Patrick Bailey, you knew, hey, he's going to be here, or at least you thought he was going to be here for a while. To me, it's like, summer's coming up, right? Back in the day, summer love. You meet someone at a summer camp, something like that. Hey, well, we're only here for 4 weeks, so how much time are we going to spend getting to know each other when you're going to go back to Vermont and I'm going to go back to California? What's the level there? So we don't know if the Giants view any of these current catchers as a catcher of the future. We don't know that. So these pitchers, and by the way, Robbie Ray, who's going to be gone at the end of the season or before the trade deadline, more than likely. Houser just got moved to the bullpen. There's conversations about Webb. So what is the level of building something together if either one side or the other ain't going to be there? So I think that's kind of the confusing part too. At least it's working for Webb, and some of the details here outside of Webby, Susac said, it's pretty much like, if I'm going to shake, here's the next pitch. It's typically their best off speed, or it's like a heater to their strength side. It usually is in the later in the count and could go either way. It's just usually they're guessing the other one. So basically, hey, I'm just going to throw down some signs. You tell me what you want. Right? Is that what you're feeling? Or this is how I view it. How do you view it? And it might not even be that deep. I'm just going to give you the signs and you tell me what you want to throw. So I thought that was a bit fascinating, and whatever works, obviously it's working for Logan Webb. Adrian Houser think it would work for him. Maybe he'll get another opportunity, like we said, if Robbie Ray or one of these pitchers gets traded. One more segment with you. Let's get into an A's preview. Yeah, the big boppers out here in Sacramento, but they also give up some homers as well. More Locked On Giants coming up. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster and stay organized and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. Like we always talk about, the Giants adding Joe Panic, not the flashiest move, but it was exactly what they needed to win a World Series. You can tell it wasn't a reactionary move. The organization had a vision, stuck to it, and you saw the results because everyone was working off the same playbook. Great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. Get your daily Giants coverage completely ad-free by joining the Everydayer Club today. Start your 7-day free trial right now and get closer to your team without the interruptions. Click the link in the show notes or go to lockedonsfgiants.supercast.com to claim your free trial. Last segment with you, and the Giants are taking on the Athletics. Okay, just Athletics. Let's not forget, not Sacramento, not Oakland, not Vegas, just the Athletics, okay? They are one game back of the wild card and one game back of the AL West. We've talked about how the American League was a bit soft. I know the National League is starting to look softer as well with a bunch of those 500 teams. They're 38-40. The A's are, and these boys can hit. These boys can hit a little bit. They are 4th in home runs. They are 9th in batting average, and they are 3rd in OPS. This is how the A's run into trouble, though, and why they aren't playing much better than 500 baseball. Even though they're still in the mix, you look at those offensive numbers, and you would think, man, they should definitely be winning the AL West and not stuck under 500. Well, I'll tell you why. Pitching, they're 29th in opponent's batting average. That's second to last. They're 29th in ERA. That's second to last. They've given up the most home runs in the league. Okay. So obviously these games are going to be in San Francisco, not in Sacramento, because we know the ball flies out there at Sutter Health Park, but still an opportunity for the Giants to find some offensive explosions that we haven't seen in a while. Now we know they'll probably score 16 today and then 2 the rest of the series, but finding a way to turn up and turn on and get back on the offensive side of things. And that's why it'll be tough if they do move on from, or excuse me, if they not move on, but if they do sit Rafi Devers today. I mean, it's almost as if, look, man, you should be looking at the Giants and try to figure out what's most important, right? Because where you're at and how bad the season has been, is it more important to grab a level of control and say, you know what, this isn't okay, we're not doing this? Or are you still so thirsty to, I guess, sell that you're back in the mix, even though you won't be, that you're not willing to sit someone who disrespected you, who disrespected the team, who disrespected the organization? Today is going to say a lot about the Giants because, yeah, you could probably use Rafi Devers in the lineup. Now, are you going to get the Rafi Devers of old? We haven't seen that dude all season long. We really haven't seen him since we traded for him. Little bit on the back end once the Giants are essentially out of contention, but the Giants really haven't seen that version of Robbie Ray, or excuse me, that version of Rafi Devers. I'm looking here at the projected starters. Speaking of, Robbie Ray and Savali are going at it tonight, and then you'll have Malley taking on Gage Jump, who's been phenomenal, young dude for the A's, and then it'll be Landon Roop taking on Jeffrey Spring. So those are the projected starters for this run. Then the Giants will get the Braves again, who we saw them play pretty well against out there in Atlanta. Then they'll head to Arizona, head to Colorado as well. And at that point, you're looking at the 4th of July series. So they will not be home for the 4th of July. It's right there in front of them for the Giants. It's right there in front of them. This is a team that very hittable pitching staff. Right now, on the other end, they can hit. So what does that look like from the Giants side of things once you get into that bullpen? You know, seeing Adrian Houser out of the bullpen, how does that look? A lot of moving parts here for the Giants. So we'll see what happens tonight as they try to quiet the noise and just play some good baseball. Can they do that? Can they play some good baseball consistently? Lasting more than one series, because we really haven't seen it too often this season. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Thank you for watching Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @the_Styles Files, Styles with an I. If you never missed an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Giants ad free, plus members only Discord access and more. Head to Locked On sfgiants at supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. We will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.